Hi, folks. Welcome. Um, th- my name is Christine Weber, illustrating mature yoga teacher. Today I'm going to talk about polyvagal theory. So I thought that I had already kind of exhausted this topic because I've written some blogs about it and done some. I guess I've done some blogs and some Facebook and social media posts about it. But today, a few people were asking me if I could clarify what makes sense to talk about with polyvagal theory and what should we change how we should change the way we're talking about it. And so I thought I would come on and do a little live stream and explain some of that. So I hope this is helpful for you. Please let me know if you have questions. So let me start by, in 2026, in February, Paul Grossman came out with an article written with himself and 39 other neurophysiologists, neuroscientists, neuroanatomists, saying that polyvagal theory is untenable. And it has caused a ripple of effects throughout not only the yoga world, but even more so through the mental health world. And a lot of people are really angry. Like, people have been angry at me. Someone told me I was spreading libelous rumors about her teachers who teach polyvagal theory. And I was like, first of all, I never name names. But secondly, well, that's not true. Sometimes I do, but mostly I don't name names. And secondly, this isn't coming from me. Like, I'm just telling you what the research is saying. So don't shoot the messenger. And we should, and why not, like, change and grow? Like, what's wrong with theories getting more beautiful and more accurate? I don't see anything wrong with that. So today I want to break it down for you as a yoga professional, like what makes sense in polyvagal theory and what doesn't make sense in polyvagal theory, and what are some of the talking points that, and what are some of the really wonderful things that we can talk about with the vagus nerve that don't necessarily involve polyvagal theory that can help our students. Like, that's all I want to do. You know, when I think about why I read this stuff, why I talk about this, I just want people to have better information. You know, that's all. So I have no agenda here. I have no skin in the game. I have no agenda. But there's a couple things that did kind of irritate me a little bit about it and about this debate. And that's because this information has been widely known since 2007 in the scientific communities. And I'm not a scientist, but I follow a lot of scientists and I study with a lot of people who study science. And I feel a little bit like, I wish that this had been clarified better earlier. Okay, so here's the first problem. The first problem is that people, and I think this has happened a lot with clinicians, especially in the mental health field, people conflate the polyvagal theory, which is over here, with practices that have become polyvagal practices. So there's even like a polyvagal yoga out there. Like, there are so many polyvagal theories and polyvagal yoga stuff, and they're different. Like, whatever people are doing under this rubric of polyvagal, under this title of polyvagal, often is really good stuff. It's self-regulating. It helps people to regulate the nervous system, to reduce anxiety, to help to elicit neuroplastic changes and change the nervous system. But that's not the same thing as the dysfunction and the erroneous issues of polyvagal theory. So first of all, separate those things. In yoga, we call this V-yoga, V-I, V-yoga. Separate the stuff so you can look at it and decide what is useful and what isn't. The polyvagal ladder, if you look at the polyvagal ladder from a practice perspective, it's like the bottom rung is shut down, and people empirically get shut down. I see it. It's dissociation or variations of dissociation, depression. People go into this shutdown state. That happens. Get out of the shutdown. Yeah, this is yoga theory. You need a little brahmana. Get out of the shutdown. And so you get a little activation in the sympathetic part of the nervous system. No problem with that. And then how do you get to social engagement? Yeah, like, we need practices like chanting and yoga postures and meditation and connecting with community and feeling, and having fun. Like, all of that is absolutely true and so helpful. But I'm sorry, we need to take the word polyvagal out of it. Because if you go over here to the ladder, excuse me, and you say the bottom rung is dorsal vagal shutdown, that's where it's erroneous. So take that word out of it. Just say it's shutdown. And an even better way to explain shutdown is hypometabolism. It's not the dorsal part of the vagus nerve. There's no clear evidence about that. There may be some vagal involvement in the shutdown. Shutdown involves a whole cascade of metabolic processes. Your thyroid could be involved, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal thyroidal axis. Maybe that is not activating, or the thyroid is not working properly. It could be digestion has shifted. It could be psychological. There's a lot of depression or grief. I mean, there's like so many factors that are going into that hypometabolism, and to say it's dorsal vagal shutdown, that's where the problem is. So in my opinion, that language we have to stop. And a simple replacement for it is hypometabolism. Now, the next part of the ladder, saying the sympathetic nervous system, sorry about that. I think it's pollen. The sympathetic nervous system has to be activated. There's some accuracy in that. I don't have a lot of problem with that. What I have a problem with, and this is not just totally polyvagal, by the way, but the challenge I have is that people say sympathetic is fight or flight and parasympathetic is rest and digest. That is way too simplistic and very inaccurate. For me to be standing up here talking to you, I am not in a fight or flight state, but my sympathetic nervous system has to be activated for me to be able to speak to you. There has to be some sympathetic activity going on, because if I was just rest and digest, I'd be asleep. Even then, even when you're sleeping, there has to be some sympathetic activity, so the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, it's more like they're having a dance all the time. It's not like, and you're using pieces of them. It's not like there's just one and not the other. The sympathetic nervous system, when it's activated and you are in fight or flight, like if someone yelled fire and there was fire in my room, boom, I'm going to get active. The ganglion are close to the spine, so everything turns on at once, and you go into pupils dilating, and you start sweating, and the heart races, and the breathing speeds up, and the digestion slows. Like all of that's going to happen in that fast moment. And if you stay in that state too long, of course, that's not a good state for your nervous system, and it contributes to the whole host of chronic illnesses that are out there. So, the sympathetic activation is not just the way we get out of some kind of shutdown state. It also is in many aspects of our life. Okay, so that's where the ladder is a problem. And then the third part of the ladder, saying ventral vagal is responsible for social engagement, is deeply problematic and not necessarily accurate. And so the reason why that is inaccurate is that the ventral vagus nerve has not evolved specifically in humans and other mammals to be the social engagement nerve. Think about social engagement. It's very complicated, right? You're looking at somebody, reading the facial cues, reading the body language. Like, this is executive function stuff. Also with some of the subcortical structures being involved in reading social cues. There's a lot of stuff going on there that's not just the ventral vagus nerve. So the problem, and the other piece is that reptiles and birds also are socially engaged, but they're not mammals. So in terms of evolutionary biology, it's just not an accurate statement to say it's a special ventral vagal thing. Excuse me, I must have breathed some pollen before I started talking, so I apologize. Okay, so getting out of, and the other thing, I think I said this already, but just in case I've missed it, the nervous system typically has to be in some kind of a parasympathetic homeodynamic place, or it likes to be in that place, I should say, because it's metabolically expensive to be running around in fight or flight all the time. So it doesn't mean you're socially engaged necessarily. It just means like that's what the nervous system has to do. So there, so I think like the latter is fine, but we should label it something different, like hypometabolic state, and then a little bit of activation, more activation of the sympathetic part of the nervous system, but not necessarily fight or flight. I don't want to put people in fight or flight clinically, you know. And then social engagement is fine to use, but we should not be calling that a ventral-vagal response or like governed by the ventral vagal. It just isn't. It's governed by a whole host of very complicated social cues and biofield energy. Like there's so much going on beyond just the vagus nerve there. Now, what is it? So now let's talk about what the vagus nerve, what the good things we can talk about the vagus nerve, because like I'm not letting go of the vagus nerve. I still love the vagus nerve, right? So the vagus nerve is the largest nerve of the parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system. And one of its most important functions is that it provides information to the brain about how your body feels. So as a yoga professional, if we're helping people to learn how to sense into the feelings in their body, which is called interoception, we're doing a great service for them, because those messages, we're starting to help them recalibrate that part of the nervous system, which does involve the vagus nerve and also some spinal nerve and many brain structures, including the insular cortex. So we're sending better signals up into the brain. Why is that important? Because interoceptive signaling and a functional interoceptive system, which involves the vagus nerve, helps us to have a better sense of who we are. It has a better, and before I go to there though, it helps us to have a better sense of how we feel. When you understand how you feel, then you know what to do. When you understand who you are, then you know how to act. Like these are all really basic things that help, that the vagus nerve is involved in sort of the development of identity and meaning and purpose. But even more basic, like on a more biological level, the vagus nerve is sending signals saying like, I'm hungry. I need to get some food in my system. Or it could also be like, I don't feel safe in this situation. I think I need to get out of it. I'm thirsty, or I'm noticing my heart's beating fast. Maybe I'm feeling anxious and I didn't notice it. Like those sorts of things are what is being sent from the vagus nerve to the brain. And then when you can make good behavioral decisions, drinking something or eating something or going to the bathroom or getting out of a situation or changing the way you're breathing, like that helps you to regulate. It helps you to self-regulate. So it helps you to understand how to take care of yourself, take care of the system. And then from there, even deeper in a yogic sense, it helps us to go into who we are. And understand better, you know, what our life is about, what the meaning and purpose of our life is. So that's just, I hope that clarifies a little bit about the vagus nerve. Like, separate the theory and the practice. The practice is still great. Probably get those words vagus, ventral vagus, and dorsal vagus out, because we don't have clear definitions of what those parts of the vagus nerve actually do. And some of the science is just in the theory. The theory just needs to be rejigged. I mean, maybe polyvagal theory will emerge, you know, anew. I hope Stephen Porges decides to do something new with it. Maybe it's going to emerge anew and it'll be better. And, you know, science is always changing. So I don't want to give inaccurate information to my students. Some of my students couldn't care less about polyvagal theory, and then other students want to know exactly what's going on. So you know, it's my responsibility, I think, to get the information accurate. And I think it's a responsibility of the scientists to be authentic and, you know, just like admit when they need to change something. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's the way science works. So I hope this is helpful. Please leave a comment, and I'll see you next week. Take care.